Tendering Administration Committee, Wednesday, June 26, 2024, a little after 12. Order of business, open session. Number one, call to order. Number two, declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest?
None.
And number three, approval of agenda.
Mr. Chair, just under agenda for
Mayor
new
Brown?
business, just want to give a notice. Just an update timeline on the procurement bylaw. I'm just keeping some eyes on that. And the other the other issue is at our Atlantic Mayors Congress meeting last weekend, municipalities like St. John's, Newfoundland, St. John, New Brunswick, they talked about their business continuity plan. Now, I don't know if we have one, but I'd like to just put that on the next agenda. I think the business continuity plan is a plan that's activated or triggered if there's a natural disaster like we had with Fiona, and there's ways to fill in those gaps because of the disaster situation we were in back in Fiona. And there was discussion about the vacant property tax. St. John is working on that, and I did forward some emails to Mr. Jenkins, yourself, with a contact in St. John. They're working with the New Brunswick legislature, so just like to follow up with that. And I do have another name that I can pass on to the Director of Finance Administration, so I can just ask for that the next agenda.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Just so just in terms of procedure, you asked about an update on the procurement bylaw. Is that can we go to that now?
Next agenda. Just give a notice to get some information on it.
Okay. All right.
And the business, it's called the Business Continuity Plan. It's a financial plan that's put in for any climatic or disastrous situation. Yep. And the last is the
vacant property tax.
Yeah.
So duly noted, Jackie.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So we're good. All right. So
you don't have. I guess there's no minutes to pass, is there? No previous minutes to pass? Okay.
They'll be available next meeting, Councillor Bernard.
Okay.
So discussions, reports, 4A UPI, request for partner funding to assist with installation of lights in turf field at UPI, Alumni Canada Games. So I'd pass that on to our Director of Finance, Dan Jenkins. If Dan, if you would speak to this request, please, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so very briefly, this committee heard a presentation on June 12th from Bruce Donaldson from UPI, outlining the parameters and rationale for requests for $100,000 in funding to assist in their project to light the Alumni Games Place field, and also to support their application to the Canada Games Legacy Fund for additional funding for $1 million or so to replace the natural grass surface at the field with turf. We, at this committee, recommended that it be brought to Parks and Recreation Committee, which we did so on the following Friday, June 14th. That committee made a recommendation, which is included in the report, which says that Council supports the addition of lights at the UPI Alumni Canada Games Place, and that the possibility in Phase 2 addition of an artificial turf surface that would provide potential benefits to the department and the minor sport associations and adult groups that the Parks and Recreation indirectly supports. This project would also provide benefits to the city overall. So with the recommendation from Parks and Rec, we want to address the funding piece at this committee. And the recommendation from staff in the report that if it's the wish of the committee and council to recommend this as a project worthy of support, financial, that we make a budget allocation from the extraordinary expenses budget reserve to cover the commitment, and then provide a letter of support to UPI to accompany their application to the Canada Games Legacy Fund to get the additional funding for the turf element of the project.
Okay, Dan, thanks for that recap. Are there any questions to Dan on the request? I know, as we all know, we were Bruce Donaldson was in, had done a presentation to us, and also to also to Parks and Rec. I think the requests and the reasons and the rationale have been, put forth on a, pretty comprehensive basis, and it's decision to be made here from the committee to what we're going to do to forward this on at the council. Councillor Bernard.
Yep, thank you. No, I think it's good. I just want to mention that, and I know we had some discussion, Dan, you and I, I was on the phone last time. But looking back now, like it's back to finance, because finance is looking for the money to be able to approve it, which I never understood why it was going to Parks and Rec anyway. And here we are back looking for the money, which is where the request would come from in the first place. But I could see like sending a message out to the manager, and this is what we're looking at, your opinion on it. I just think for people to come in and make presentations, they don't need to go to 2 and 3 different committees, 2 or 3 presentations. So the other thing was, that's one reason why we like to have some money in the extraordinary expenses for things like this that come up, that we have the money to be able to go to. I think it's a great project. I think it adds another sports field. It adds scheduling to a lot of our sport organizations. So I would definitely be in favor of taking the $100,000 out of the extraordinary expenses and moving it on to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bernard. I know, Bob, you've called in. The mayor has his light on. Did you have anything, Bob, that you wanted to ask or clarify on this request?
No, I'm good. I'll speak after the mayor has his presentation. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Councillor Drawn. So, just as Councillor Bernard said, we discussed it here, made a decision that it's green light because of the presentation. Then we sent it back to Parks and Recreation. Another presentation was made. Now it's back here. So is that the same process we're going to follow for, let's say, renovations to the Eastlink Centre? Like, I'm just trying to figure out where, sometimes these processes. Yeah, but if I could just say one thing about it, that facility falls under the responsibility of this standing committee. So hopefully it doesn't have to bounce around some different committees. But on the resolution itself, Mr. Chair, I think Bruce Donaldson made it very clear. He's applying for the funding from the Canada Games 2023 Legacy Fund. He's applying for funding from ACOA. That funding doesn't come in place or doesn't step up, then our money is off the table. Our funding is hinged on what will be provided from other sources, funding sources, i.e. ACOA, i.e. the Canada Games 2023 Legacy Fund. So, it's to me, it's just, we're putting our support behind it.
So,
Thank you.
So just to be clear on your point, Mayor Brown, are you saying, the city's contribution would be off the table if the legacy piece is not part of the financials on this?
Well, if ACOA is not there for the lighting and the province, $100,000 is not going to do this job. That's for sure.
Yeah, but there's two pieces to this. There's the lights, and then if the legacy funding is on the table, as I understand it, that's the funding that's needed to make the turf thing happen. Is that correct? Right. So, yeah. But if that doesn't happen and there's still a lighting thing to get done, are we still willing to support it, I guess?
This funding is for just the lighting. And the funding that Bruce Donaldson is searching for is from ACOA and the province. The legacy fund, correct, is for the turf, but it could be used for the lights. But let's make sure ACOA funding is there along with the province.
Thank you. Councillor Bernard.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for me, and I think Bruce made it quite clear, if the funding doesn't come through, then the project doesn't go ahead. So we're just agreeing that we are a partner. We're not sending the money out anywhere yet or anything. We're just agreeing that we are a funding partner if the program goes ahead. And I think Dan is asking us, are we okay if they do get the money and we do go ahead, where's the money come from? So it can come out of extraordinary expenses, but right now we're just agreeing we are a partner. So if you get all the funding, we'd be in for the 100,000.
That jive all with you, Dan?
Thanks, Chair. Yes, I have no issue with either. I think we just want to be very clear in our letter what our commitment for 100,000 is conditional on. Is it if it's just the lighting project gets advanced, or if it's conditional on both the turf element and the lighting? Either way, we're fine if council allocates the funds to the project and is clear in terms of what the conditions of that are. Either way, we just want to be clear what the intention is.
If I may,
Councillor Bernard?
Mr. Chair, Dan brings up a good point. It might be nice, Dan, when we do our agreement to be a partner, in that we also get to use the fields, like Bruce had made comment that we will get to use the field for sport organization, that we do get fair scheduling. It may be nice to put something in there, but that goes with the 100,000. So, yeah, thanks.
All right, Councillor Drong, you wanted to make a point or ask a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I see the committee, has the support here. I struggle with this. I mean, here we are going for $100,000, taking it out of extraordinary reserves when that was put in for emergencies. Fiona, catastrophes, whatever. We wanted to put some money aside for that. Now to take it out of there, troubles me. I know during the budget process, we've cut programs, staff positions. We've business that we wanted to do. New infrastructure. We cut it down, and now we're gonna give $100,000 away. You have to look at, our operating budget is $86 million. The university itself, for their operating budget for 24-25, is $183 million. Their revenue and expenses have gone up 12% this year, from $164 million last year. So they have a big budget. They can do this project. Asking us to be a partner, if they need something from us, I said it before, we can give a letter of support, but we don't have to take into our extraordinary reserve fund to give them money. There's many things that we've done over the last year, cutting programs, staff positions, all these things, and then here we're sitting here and giving money away. I know, the mayor has discussed about going back and getting more money for roads. I mean, the taxpayers here, they need roads, they need patching, that's money. I just can't I can't support this. I mean, it's not our field. The university is a big entity. It's got a huge budget. We're $97 million shorter than them in their operating budget. So, I don't think we're in the position to borrow money or give it extraordinary expenses away. So I can't support that. I definitely support a letter, a recommendation and a letter of support to Mr. Donaldson to proceed with, funding arrangements with ACOA, the Canada Games Fund, supported 100%, but just not our monetary fund. Thank you. That's all I have to say on that one.
Thank you, Councillor Drong, for those comments. Not lost on us. Appreciate it. Mayor Brown.
Yeah, I understand what the Councillor Drawn is saying, and being a former member of the Board of Governors at UPEI for 6 years, as Councillor Drawn knows, the university receives money through the Canadian Social Development Fund, which provides funding, substantial funding, for all post-secondary institutions across the country. And then you also have partnerships out at the university with the departments and faculties that are lined up with projects that are very related to our environment. Take, for example, the Climate Institute, the Institute of Climate Change and Adaptation out in St. Peter's. That is a federal, provincial university project which gets money, it brings in money from many sources. So if you look at our relationship, the city's relationship with the university, we built Kerry with the university. It's a $25 million facility. It serves the university community, it serves the greater community, and it's worth a lot more than that now. So again, Councillor Drawn, I know where you're coming from. I thought that when we were here at the last meeting, our manager of finance says that, we could look at other sources, other places to take that money from, but the director has looked at extraordinary expenses, and that's where we're taking it from. But it could, we could draw down something else. But Councillor Duran, when we look at roads, streets, sidewalks, active transportation pathways, a lot of that funding comes from our capital budget. So that's why I've been pushing to add more money to the capital budget for paving as one example. But I appreciate your comments.
All right. Bob, anything further?
Yeah, just a comment there. I appreciate the opportunity. I know we built the Kerry rink. We pay $1 million a year plus to operate it. Then we borrow capital for parking lots, sidewalks. We're the little guy here. We're pitching in our fair share. Great relationship with the university and the city of Charlottetown. We work together on projects, but on this particular project, I just can't see it. Their budgets are bigger than ours. We've cut money everywhere, to keep our residents happy. I just don't see this as something that we should be doing. I know we have a great relationship. The university's in the city of Charlottetown. Everything is great. I worked there myself for 34 years. So I understand the relationship there, but it comes down to money. Their budget's much bigger than ours. We've cut programs, everything. I just don't see where we're in the position to give money away. But like I said, that's my opinion and my opinion only. So I can appreciate where you're coming from, but I can't see it today. Letter of support, 100%. But as far as throwing money at it, I just don't see it. But thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bernard.
Yeah, and just a comment on that. So the city of Charlottetown, as everybody, if they don't know, they should. They probably do. But right now, we're already short 3 soccer fields. We're short 2 rugby fields. We're short an extra football field. And I think if you look at the money to what it's going to cost us to build a soccer field or a rugby field or a football field, it'd be well over $100,000. I think that's why the partnership, I think, is important to me. For $100,000, you get a turf field and you have it lighted. So you have scheduling that can go into the evening. So it opens up a lot of opportunities for our city sport organizations that they're crying for fields. This is one of the ways that we can get some scheduling done. Because the rugby field, my understanding is they're building for rugby. So with rugby, you could play the different sports on it. So I think $100,000 for that partnership, to me, is well worth it. But it doesn't stop us from the city of Charlottetown continuing to move forward and building infrastructure, sport infrastructure that we need. We're not only behind, but as the population continues to grow in Charlottetown, which we all know it's growing quite fast, we need to move on these different sport fields. So, and any partnerships we can have along the way, I think just help us. So, thank you.
Could I comment on that,
Mayor Brown?
Chair?
Councillor Drown, go ahead.
Yeah, and I understand. I mean, there's a field there that they've shut down numerous times in the summer to repair it. You know, so there is a field there for rugby or football, but people weren't allowed to use it. It was shut down for maintenance and regrowth. You know, we did partner a number of years ago with the city of Charlottetown on the new turf field. That situation didn't work out very well. So when they went to put a new turf field, we backed away from that. So is this going to be any different? I understand we need fields and there's land available. We have to look at it for ourselves, for the city of Charlottetown. Then we can dictate on our playing allotment for the youth and for the kids and things like that. So, I mean, the field is there. They could use it. We haven't been using it, you know, but you know, to throw 100,000 out when we could be doing something for ourselves. I mean, you know, that's just my opinion. I can appreciate what you want to do, but you know, I appreciate what I have to say. So, you know, thank you again.
Thank you, Councillor Drown. Mayor Brown?
Councillor Drawn, again, I appreciate where you're coming from. Again, looking at investment, when you look at a partnership, instead of building a new field, yes, you're right. Going back to the Macadam field, it's a natural turf. The plan is to make it an artificial turf field, which would allow more use. But Councillor Drawn, when we look at our partnerships across the number of years I've been on council and previously when Richard was here, the university has been a great partner. You know that, I know that, and I continue. You know, I wish to continue to foster that. But on the $100,000, I'm just, Councillor McAleer, I'm just asking if we could, you know, if we don't have to take from extraordinary expenses, there must be some other areas in the budget that we're not going to be expending this year that we could allocate or take that allocation from, because I think as our manager of finance said at our last meeting, we have, you know, done quite well with our surpluses over the last number of years, and hopefully that continues. Hopefully that continues. So I think that, you know, I know this would be a sort of a buzz button issue with taking it from extraordinary expenses, because I know our former interim CAO was always concerned about taking it from, but she would find other places to take it from. So if we could ask our Director of Finance and Administration just to do a scan throughout and maybe take something from other budgets. But again, extraordinary expenses, you know, it's the low hanging fruit, and that's the easiest place to take it from. But it may have different connotations, as the councillor from Ward 6 mentioned. You know, it should be used for extraordinary situations.
But I consider this is an opportunity. I consider
Go
this
ahead.
part of an extraordinary. I consider this part of an extraordinary. That's why it's come through now, and there's an opportunity here that we didn't know about 2 months ago or 3 months ago or budget time. And to me, the extraordinary expenses, it's not just for emergencies, it's for extraordinary things like this that comes up. So there's $1.5 million in extraordinary expenses we're talking about. And the director may be able to find other areas within the budget. That's fine. All we're doing is committing that we're a partner. Finding the money can come later, but that's definitely one area we can go to take 100,000 out of 1.5 million. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bernard, Mayor Brown, Councillor Drong. Just on that, I had, you know, mentioned to Dan, I'm not sure about any other buckets or any other departments where we're possibly, this money could be sourced if it does come to be a reality. But as Bruce Donaldson indicated, he can live with, 50K over two budget years. And Dan, I don't know, I don't know if on the spot anything comes different to you than the special reserve fund. But as I said to you before the meeting, I guess we're kind of better than halfway through the 24-25 budget year on the special reserve fund. So it'd be so really what we're risking if we think that we're robbing this for something unforeseen that may come. We're only we're not many months away from another fiscal year. So. I don't disagree with Councillor Bernard's point there that, this is an extraordinary thing. And the thing, in my opinion, that anytime you have an opportunity to leverage your assets and your services with other funding partners potentially, I think it's something that, hard not to be a part of. And I think it's a good project. So. Anyway, leave it there.
Could I
Mayor
just
Brown?
amend that request? So instead of 100,000, put it 50,000 over the next 2 years, instead of taking it 100,000. Yeah.
And I'm sure that would probably be surplus anyway, but that's a good point.
I just want to amend it if we could. I think we're going to do that for Tremploy. Remember, we're going to do it over 5 years, 10,000 per year. This will be 100,000 over 2 years, 50,000 per year. So the impact is not as direct.
Dan, can you, that work for you?
Yes, certainly, whatever committee and council would like to do, we can make happen. We're still in the first quarter of this fiscal year, so it is early to say, at the end of the year, we'll be light in one area or the other. The extraordinary expenditure expense reserve is within the finance budget. So it is one that we know is, and there are no other buckets per se that we have enough knowledge on at this stage in the year to say that we're going to be under without having, Public Works, yeah, we probably have some savings on our asphalt expenditures, but there's lining and curbing and things to go on top of that. We know one of our capital projects is a little over what we had budgeted for, so it's a little early to make any definitive conclusions, but this is kind of a long-range project. We can make a commitment knowing that we have the reserve account there to draw on if necessary. I think that's a reasonably prudent way to go forward.
So, just before I go to you, Councillor Bernard, so Dan, I think what you're saying is, or what I'm understanding potentially is, we can fund it 50-50 over 2 years at a special reserve if we have to go there. But if there's other things as the fiscal year unfolds, that there is 50 here or 50 there, that it may not necessarily have to go to special reserve. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the end result is whether it comes out of a special reserve or it happens to come out of a Public Works operating budget. It really doesn't matter because the city's surplus or deficit is the city's altogether. But we know that we have a reserve fund that isn't earmarked for one thing or another. All of the other funds essentially are. They're dedicated to projects or salaries or lights and heat and other things that we do. Whereas we have some latitude within the extraordinary reserve, so that we have that latitude if it's the will of committee and council.
Councillor Bernard.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of letting them know that we are going to be a partner right now. We'll have the $100,000 if the project goes through. Where it comes from later, we know we have one area, but I mean, Dan's right. I mean, at the end of the year, like $50,000 per year, we can find that. And I guess the fund that we're talking about is at a last resort. If we have to go there, then the money's there. So, but I think today is just, yes, we agree, and we'll move this forward to council, it's we agree to be partner in this project.
I'll move it. I'll
I'll
move the
second it,
resolution to provide $50,000 year one, $50,000 for year two.
And I'll second it.
And that is conditional on receiving, Bruce Donnelly's and his group receiving the funding from ACO and other sources.
But the project going ahead, other
Yeah.
words, yeah.
And just for clarification, is that just the lighting project or both the lighting and the turf project?
Well, we were asked for the lights.
We were asked for the lighting.
Okay.
That's all we're into.
Good,
That's
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Councillor Drong, are you still there?
Still here, yeah.
Okay, and yay or nay on the motion?
Definitely nay.
Yep. Just confirming. Great. All right, Councillor Brown, or Mayor Brown and Councillor Bernard, in favor. Okay. Thank you. Number 5, introduction to new business.
Already did that.
That's, Jackie, you captured that. All right. Councillor Drong, anything on new business?
No, I'm good, thank you.
And Terry, you're good?
Under new business? No, it would be under the minutes, the last meeting, so that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, adjournment, so moved, and seconded by Councillor Bernard. Thank you, so adjourned. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.